Well, then welcome to this very special forum. It's a cross-industry session, and what we mean by that is that Messe Munich has a very unique situation where we serve many industries worldwide with world-leading platforms. For example, laser technology or automation, besides sporting goods. And one of our most successful exhibitions that we have is IFAT. And IFAT is the world-leading show on environmental technology. It's meanwhile exported, I think, 9 times worldwide. We're in China with that show, in India, overall over the world. And it's about technology for industries and for municipalities. It starts with drinking water supply, wastewater treatment, but the other segment, the big one, is how can we make circular economy a reality with technology. And therefore we came up with the idea to do a cross-industry session where we bring together products, more or less, textile products. Together with the question is, what kind of technology in the future do we need? What is the status quo of the situation of recycling? And how can we make examples, cases in the future where we can showcase how this can be a reality? But for today, we're talking about the status quo. Where are we? And we have 2 wonderful speakers, Julia Hobohm. And I have to, I mean, it's not in English, but you're the managing director of the Gemeinsame Rücknahmesystem, the Servicegesellschaft GmbH. You explain what it is exactly. And Kim Scholze, she's the chief sales and marketing officer at Sympatex. Thanks, you guys, that you are here, or girls, better. And I wish you a successful discussion.
Thank you for opening.
Thank you, Stefan. So, thank you for this really kind introduction, but this is not all what we are. Kim, what is your position? What are you doing on this really great fair trade?
First of all, so my name is Kim Scholze. I'm the Chief Executive for Sales and Marketing for Sympatex, which is an ingredient brand delivering membranes and laminates for waterproof and breathable clothing and shoes. A dream comes true because before I joined Sympatex, I was part of the Messe Munich team for ISPO and for outdoor. And I was in charge of the outdoor community, which is influenced by a lot of bits and pieces. And IFAT, or IFAT, as you said, was always somehow the achievable platform to share solutions, because it's so really important to find the right strategies together within solutions or future or status quo, but knowledge sharing. And when we started our prep calls, I thought, oh, am I the right person for the panel, because I'm not so much deep into the technology side of IFAT recycling. And then we realized maybe that's exactly the right interference sector of what you know, what I know. So we decided to share knowledge transfer. And I'm here with the brand Sympatex, which has a wonderful coffee booth over here, so you are invited for a coffee afterwards. And we are here to serve and to learn from all the other exhibitors in the showrooms and in the fairground what's next in textile, in shoes, and in every application we need to fulfill in terms of closing the loop. I tend to talk a little longer, so you need to interfere. Do you want to explain to us why you are here?
Why I'm here?
Yes,
please. Because it's Munich. I want to drink beer. The sun is shining. No, it's a really great thing to bring people together, to close the loop. This is the most important thing, to be sustainable, to have good recycling strategies. And this is the reason why we are linked. And my background is I did my PhD in process engineering. So I'm really on the basic of waste management. My PhD was about collection of waste. So I know how to collect waste. I know how to recycle. Next to this, I'm in the executive board of the IFAT. So I'm here now today for the IFAT. And I'm the speaker of the management board of the German Waste Association. And to get money, I'm the general manager of GRS batteries. This has nothing to do, sometimes as well, with clothes, but we can discuss this later on.
And this was so interesting in our prep call, because we come from so different not only studies where we both have our beginning of the working life in, but we need to share this because that was so funny when we met. We both have a podcast. And this podcast started in Corona times. And from my side, I talk for myself and dränge mich immer vor. From my side, I started the podcast with ISPO when we realized that we need to transfer square meter management to digital shows and to digital content sharing. And so my B2B podcast, which is called Sport and Business in One Word, which somehow a smart person, which was not me, developed, it is called Business. And it takes care for personalities from sporting good industry. And this was, right now we're going to interview each other for sharing circularity and recycling thoughts in the future. Maybe you present yourself for your podcast.
My podcast is really easy. It's Trash Talk. Trash Talk is about circular economy. Yes, the one and the other is smiling, but it's really easy. It's about circular economy. It's there's one topic for every month, and we discuss every waste stream. We discuss building waste. We discuss in the future textile waste, and so on. And the main challenge we always are focusing is to close the loop. And for closing the loop is we have to bring the producer and the recycling plants together and to discuss how we can recycle the different waste streams and how we can be more sustainable.
And seeing the time frame that we have, unfortunately, only 30 minutes because we started already in prep talks so much. So if we start, I love your title way more than I do mine, by the way. If we can start with, can you explain waste as a topic? There is a hierarchy in waste, what we are know or not really know, but can you explain the status quo for the holistic view on waste?
So what is the status quo of recycling of clothes? And I was a little bit shocked when I prepared myself for this discussion today, because we don't have a really good recycling of clothes, and this is not sustainable. I guess we have this a 5-step hierarchy. You're well prepared, Kim. The first thing is always to avoid waste. No waste is good waste. That means we need to produce long-term clothes, so we need to have high qualities. This is one of the most important things to avoid waste clothes. The second step is the preparation for reuse, and this is really easy. You know, every one of you knows Kleiderkreisel, eBay, second-hand market. This is reuse, but you can also do reuse with the municipalities. For example, I don't know, perhaps someone is from Hamburg or from Munich. You have the second-hand warehouse from your municipalities, but for this you need a really appropriate collection scheme. It's not really good for the recycling if you collect clothes with a normal waste. When you put it in your black waste, so you need a really, really appropriate collection scheme. And this is the basic for all recycling, for every recycling. The third one is recycling. And there is no appropriate recycling for clothes. We normally have a downcycling, you call it downcycling. Sometimes you recycle clothes, for example, for building materials, as a substitute for building.
And
painter fleece is one really famous recycling product.
And somehow automotive.
Yes, and automotive, yes. There are a lot of more, but it's only downcycling. You never get clothes from old clothes. And so I guess that it's one of our most consumer goods which is not really sustainable, because we have no appropriate recycling. And this is not really, not really sustainable. Thank you. So what we have to do in the future and what we have to discuss with the producer. So the waste management companies have to discuss with the producer. We have to close the loop. And honestly, the producer are responsible for their products. You are responsible for your products. You have to make sure that you are sustainable when you are a producer. This is something which have to be in your mind. And for this, we have to create products for a long-time use. We have to reduce the mixture of different materials. When you check your materials, you have 5 up to 6, 7 materials in your shirt. And what is really common, you have metals in your clothes. For example, I guess it's copper in some sport materials. And for example, you have sensor technologies in some sport materials. This is not really good for recycling processes. You have to have good take-back schemes, and you have to close the loop. For this, we have to discuss together what we have to do in the future.
Exactly, and maybe for the title which we choose for today is the status quo in sporting good industry and comparable to what are we looking for. And if we compare it to bottles, glass, paper, etc., this is what we need to achieve with all the wonderful materials we have in textile and where we need to make use of it. So from the last 5 years, there is already lots of change because the people we work with, seeing now ingredient Sympatex or all the brands we work with, for also all the association work, the EU legislative work for the Green Deal, etc. There are so many things going on. And right now, we have, for example, if you refer to the cycle, one and most forward-thinking processes is to start eco-design.
Yes.
Considering in the moment for the design process of your whatever jacket, shoe, pant, what's happening at the end of the life.
How to recycle, what can we do for recycling?
Exactly.
Yes,
And
design for recycling.
And if we see this is so important to share the knowledge with other industries, because right now, for example, and now just speaking for Sympatex, we use monomaterials to make sure that all the polyester can be recycled. But if we have procedures right now, who's recycling it? And before recycling, as you were saying, who's collecting? And who's sorting then? So there's one project which really changes the game currently, and this project is called Accelerating Circularity Project. They started in US. We will have one of the interviews tomorrow with them. So ACPE is their their short note. And the ladies behind this project started pilot projecting for collecting things together and separating or using in like the outcome, which is already there. So there are finished, produced out of garments sourcing. But of course, this is only project status. So what they face, for example, in how to develop further is that this, where it's right now, is not really scalable. How do you really make sure that you get all the clothes in here, which then already have monomaterial to really make sure that it works? So in their project status, just to name Accelerating Circularity at the moment, we have on cotton, it works because it's easy to collect. And if you see all the containers and everything where we collect all the textile, this is easy to separate and easy to identify. But for polyester and for the technical clothes, what we all have here, it's not really easy. And should I continue?
Yes.
I'm in flow.
Yes, I'm really interested.
Good. So if you have time later on for looking more deep into the sustainability hub, so the system where our speakers corner right now is, to show lots of projects where you can learn from, but where you can also bring your knowledge in. So there are 3 companies or 3 projects which are already in different idea status. One is, for example, Globetrotter, which is one of the most important retailers for us as an outdoor industry. And they started with a rethink concept store where they use, for those of you who speak German, there's electronic retailer who's called Konrad. And these Konrads, they are spread all over and they suffered from Corona a lot, so they hand over their retail facilities, handed over to Globetrotter, and Globetrotter did not change any resources in there. So they used completely the electronic stuff for having the outdoor thing, and this is how retail concept stores could work. The others are collecting systems. One is called, sorry that I need to look it up. they are iterative. I don't know how to because they are new for me. I just learned that yesterday night. And Blue Loop as well. So they start with original recycling being really small startups, but being able to be scaled. So no idea wherever your field of competence is in. But if you bring in whether your knowledge or your expertise or your communication channels, that would really help because we can here bring it together. So one of my questions to you right now would be if you see what happens with the textile waste, which is normally burned or brought to landfills, how can we as a sporting good industry or outdoor industry start getting money done to make sure that all the collectors, selectors and recyclers get going? There's so much textile waste what we can change.
Okay, I have to clarify some really important point. Waste management is always money.
It's always so expensive,
yes,
right?
It's really expensive. So this is the main challenge, because waste management is really there's a lot of money you have to pay when you want to collect, when you want to sort your different clothes, and when you want to have a really good recycling, you have to put money into this waste management system. And this is the most important point why the producers normally don't want to go into this waste management. Because it's always, there's a lot of money you have to pay, and this is not really,
But how does that, sorry to interrupt, but how does that work in your industry? Is that different there?
They have to.
It's mandatory?
Yes, if you have to. Yes, it's by law. This is given by law. You have collection quotas for packaging waste, for e-waste, for batteries. You have collection quotas. You have to make sure that you have appropriate recycling. You have given recycling efficiency by law. And the producers are really responsible. The producers have to pay money to make sure that their goods, their products are collected, are sorted, and are recycled.
So this is the transfer to textile industry which comes across with the EU law, right?
Yes, and you don't get money out of it. So you can minimize the money if you produce recycling-friendly products. Then you have to pay less money.
Yeah, that's what's coming for textile as well.
Yes,
and
this is something which will come. You have to pay money. You have to be responsible. Yes.
So is there any knowledge transfer, what you see for textile being in the role now for running the business? Also, like...
No. Sorry.
Yeah, but this is it, because if
we have to start this. We have to, yes, but... Yeah.
So for when we had our prep calls and talks, we said we need to go out with concrete action. And the concrete action is on shoulders from all of us. And if we start with this wonderful format from IFAT, but also start sharing processes. So I could speak for Sympatex, starting with the help from brands to us and from us to brands with the eco-cycle. The design can only be safe if we reduce colors, if we reduce lab-dip processes, if we reduce master proto whatever salesman, if we use the digitalization as a tool in lab dipping, if we reduce the logistics, etc. And this is, of course, not the topic of the recycling status quo, but to make sure that recycling starts happening, we need to start at the beginning from the circle.
Yes, this is designed for recycling.
That's it.
That is the solution.
And proceeding in that, we, as Sympatex ingredient being one really early point in the value chain, we experience at the moment that if the supply chain problems and the market change because of full stocks, etc., change, it's always hard to judge where to make sure that we act in a sustainable business behavior. So exactly then, it's ideal if we learn cross-sectoral. And I maybe there are some like inputs or questions from your side, but seeing this in every step of the value chain, reducing, and then being able at the end to deliver solutions when and wherever they come from. I thought you have the one because you are responsible. Just joking, sorry. But being at the end of the circle for bringing back fiber to fiber, this is what we, at the moment, we celebrate having products which are fiber to fiber. We have laminates combined with our membrane where that works. And of course, it's like PFAS-free, etc., etc. But it took us about, I don't know, a decade?
Yes.
In everything. And Sympatex itself is member and founder of various programs like Where to Wear, a consortium where lots of different stakeholders brought their money together, but still in a pilot status. Because if you exactly do the call out, who is the responsible one to really pay off? And just to end what I'm feeling passionate about, I think with the EU legislations it will change because we need to. And it's not only the Kreislaufketten-Sorgfaltswirtschaftsgesetz from Germany, so the supply chain laws, but also for all European countries to follow, and we will not get out of it.
Yeah, but this is something. This is a really important point. We need a European solution.
I only mention important
Yes,
point.
I know. You are important. No, we have to have a European solution. It's okay when we have a good solution for Germany, but then we have to make sure that the other countries in Europe have to follow, to make sure that we have. We need this one solution for the European Union.
And maybe as a suggestion, because our time's running out, but for the podcasting or for any other social channels we have, I would, if I were listening us right now, I would love to understand where the differentiation between if you mention buildings or if you mention this one and that one, there are already a lot of possibilities to give in our clothes to various other users. So I would love to see some pillars where we build up, whether on IFAT or on sharing solutions. And I'm really thankful that we met and that we were able to do this today.
Thank you. And please follow the Trash Talk.